since that article came out, it's like I'm seeing, oh, obviously it's because Mo cheated, or now Kyle has cheated.
And what is the truth with that?
There's literally nothing to do with anybody else. This is really just about Mo and me. It's not about our family.
Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. It's your girl, the Brooke Ashley, and today we are here to discuss The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, Season 13, season finale. And before we get into it, let me start off by saying that I was hoping we would get a bit more in terms of the conversation with Kyle and Mauricio and their daughters. I feel like the viewers were cheated out of really getting some information. Kyle was still talking in circles. She's not giving us what's really going on, what really led to the breakdown in their marriage, because I was a bit annoyed. I feel like you can't tease this storyline all season long, and then for the finale, we're still left with questions. Kyle did sort of hint around in her last confessional that something happened. We'll talk about that when we get to that part, but it's still vague, and she's still not saying exactly what it is. But I will say that overall, this has been a decent season. I wasn't mad at it. I think that the cast meshes well. Do we need to see Anne-Marie come back? No. I think that Anne-Marie could be a one and done. And thank you for your services, but your time is up. But I think keep everybody else. I like the cast dynamics. Everybody gets along well without Rinna. And I'm looking forward to seeing what's going to happen in season 14. But without further ado, let's just jump right on into it, because you guys already know that we don't have a minute to spare. So we open up the finale with Kyle at the SoFi Stadium, and we find out that that's where she's going to be hosting her annual white party. Now, mind you, she has her party planner there, who is the famous Kevin Lee. We all remember Kevin Lee back in the day in the earlier seasons because he used to plan Lisa Vanderpump's parties, okay? So she got a true icon. And it goes to show you that Lisa Vanderpump will be and always has been that girl. And we see Erica there because Erica has been asked by Kyle to perform at her party. Now, let me just say this. I will always give people their propers, whether I like them or I don't. And I shouldn't even say like, because at the end of the day, I do not know them, right? I'm only going off what I see on the TV. But anyhow, I have always thought that Kyle throws amazing parties, amazing dinner parties, and the fact that she's having her white party at the SoFi Stadium, I said, girl, the money. This is what I want to see on a Housewives franchise. I want to see the extravagance, the opulence, the luxury, and you're renting out a stadium. It doesn't get any better than that. But Erica says that she's excited and honored that Kyle asked her to perform because this is like the warm-up before her Vegas residency. Now, let me stop for a minute, right? Because I meant to mention this in my last recap. But in last week's after show, Erica, you made a comment about how you were so hurt and bothered by Sutton making jokes about your Vegas residency price tickets. And I said, not the same woman who was trying to shade Denise about her OnlyFans being $7 and then saying, oh, well, who makes more money, you or your daughter? So I just said, it's so funny to me how Erica is so nasty, but yet she's so thin-skinned. The thing about it is, when you have a big mouth, and when you claim that you're such a badass, you don't care, you're an ice queen, then that means that if you dish it out, you should be able to take it. The fact that you sat up there and called Sutton everything but a child of God all last season, you kept calling her a see you next Tuesday to her face, and now you want to cry and say, I was just so appalled. I can't even believe that she would joke about my Vegas residency tickets. Like, who does that? That's an asshole move. Now you have Kyle sitting next to her saying, yeah, I'm just so appalled by what Sutton says. And it's like, y'all have been so nasty to so many people, but now when it's your turn to get some shade, now it's the end of the world and how this person is so nasty and so rude. Now we jump over to Sutton and she's with her daughter Porter. Porter's home from school and they're doing some jewelry shopping in Beverly Hills. Now, I was low-key salivating at all that fabulous jewelry. I love jewelry. So seeing Sutton try on this gorgeous diamond tennis bracelet that was almost $500,000. Then she tries on this ring. I think it was a blue diamond ring that was $9 million. Then she tries on another ring that's $95,000. And I said, Sutton, buy it all. I said, this is what I am talking about when I say I want my housewives to be wealthy. Sutton is putting her alimony to good use. I said, come through. Say what you want about Sutton, but Sutton has become one of my favorites. I love her. I think that she's quirky. She's a breath of fresh air. She has her moments, but when she's good, she's good. And her just being wealthy, I just love it. I said, Sutton, you better be on this show for a good 4 or 5 seasons because I need Sutton on this cast. So this shopping spree was everything. Her daughter picked up a pair of $48,000 earrings. I said, come through. They were like, oh yeah, that'll be a cute graduation present. So Sutton ends up purchasing these gorgeous blue sapphire diamond earrings, and they were $68,000.
Bling, bling, bling. Bitches is mad.
And now she has a one-on-one conversation with her daughter about the divorce and how she wants her daughter to understand that she doesn't want to be this cliche of a wealthy woman just eating bonbons all day, but she wants Porter to understand that you have to work. So Sutton goes on to say that it was really hard when Daddy moved out and how she lost a lot of her independence when they were married. So now she goes on to say that she can't believe what she's been able to do and accomplish since the divorce. And Porter says, I know, Mom, I'm just happy that you're happy. And I think that it's really sweet that Porter is sympathetic to her mom. And you can tell that Porter and Sutton are really close. And I really loved how Sutton said, have babies, get married, fall in love, but never lose that person, never lose your power, never lose your independence. And I love how Porter said, I won't. And I think that it's important to hear that because at the end of the day, all you have is yourself. And I know it sounds cliche, but you're really the only person that you can depend on. And that goes for whether you're single, whether you're married. At the end of the day, the only person that you can truly depend on is you. And I think people lose sight of that, especially when they get married, because you just assume that you're always going to have that person. And unfortunately, people can leave your life a number of reasons. Death, divorce, somebody walks out and leaves, and you have to know that at your core, you will be okay whether this person stays or they go. And I think that people don't get that pep talk enough. So I'm glad that she said, girl, get married, have your kids fall in love, be happy, but don't forget that at the end of the day, all you have is yourself. I feel like if more women heard that, especially growing up, that there would be less desperation. And I want to talk about desperation in a separate video because that viral TikTok of that woman who married that crazy man in her Who the F Did I Marry 50-part TikTok series, that's a hot mess. But that is a clear case of what happens when you date and marry when you're desperate. Because the fact that this woman overlooked several glaring red flags and still kept going because she wanted to be married so badly, we'll talk more about that. But I'm glad that Sutton is telling her daughter, you have to worry about yourself at the end of the day and never lose that person, never lose that fire. And a quick question, did Sutton end up buying the earrings for her daughter or no? Did she just buy the earrings for herself? Because my mom knows it don't matter how old I am. If we go shopping together, she's buying me something. So if I were Porter, I would have said, okay, I know that you're buying me these earrings today. Like, I'm not waiting. I'm getting something right now. A ring, a bracelet, a necklace, something. So now it's the day of Kyle's white party. And when I tell y'all, Kyle did that. We see Kyle and her daughters arrive early to check everything out. And baby, the budget was budgeting. Kyle spent $450,000 on this party. And one thing about it, Kyle's white parties have been legendary. I watched the after show and Kyle said that They started doing it in 2004, and the party is so famous now that she has brands reaching out to her asking, hey, can we auction off 2 tickets to have people come to your white party? It's one of the hottest parties in town. One thing about it, Kyle knows how to entertain, so girl, that is money well spent. And the fact that it's so legendary now that she has everybody and their mother trying to get on the guest list, that's how you know you did that. Now, mind you, Kyle is freaking out because her name is on the dance floor. So she's like, this is so over the top. It's so gaudy. I don't want people to think that this party is all about me. It's about our family. And Kevin Lee said, girl, enjoy it. Nobody cares. It's a nice, cute touch. Just embrace it. So now you have Kyle throwing some shade in her confessional towards LVP, saying that she's not trying to be like some people who think that it's all about them. And I said, girl, it's funny how you claim to not like LVP, but she's low-key always living in your head rent-free. Because why is that necessary to say? So we see everybody getting ready. Garcelle's in glam. Now we jump over to Dorit. We see her on the phone with PK. They're on FaceTime, and she's visibly annoyed that PK is still in London and he's not there. So we find out that PK has been in London now for 25 days. And I said, excuse me, 25 what?
No.
Now I watched last week's after show, and Dorit said, look, we've had our rough patch, but we're doing just fine right now. There have been so many rumors about us separating. It's not true, but we go through rough patches like every other married couple, but we're fine. Now I think that Dorit is just saying that to save face, but I feel like there's just something wrong here. PK has never traveled this much, and he's gone for 25 days. So now Dorit says that PK knew how she felt about him coming back home to attend the party. And then she goes on to say that had this been 8 months ago, this would have caused a lot of resentment on her part. And I said, Dorit, you sound like you're irritated. You sound like there is resentment. I also thought it was telling when she said, I sometimes wonder, will we stay together? And I said, the answer to that, in my opinion, is no. I don't see PK and Dorit lasting. Maybe they'll hold out, but I think with Kyle and Mauricio splitting up, I think they might say, you know what? Why are we trying to hold on to this farce of a marriage? Let's go our separate ways too. And Dorit seems like she's tired of PK anyway, and PK seems like he's tired of her too. He's always complaining about how she talks too much. He thinks that her PTSD is BS. So I will not be surprised if by season 14 or 15, they're saying, shout out to everybody, we have fun.
Oh! Shout out to everybody, I had fun.
I gotta be good.
So now we jump back over to Kyle and Erica getting glammed up in the stadium dressing rooms. Kyle's daughters are also getting glammed up, and now Mauricio arrives. So he's walking through the tunnel, and he's like, where's Kyle? So at this point, we see everybody arriving. Crystal and Rob arrive first, then Sutton and Garcelle. Garcelle had me screaming. She said for somebody who stopped drinking and wants to read books all day at home, Kyle sure knows how to throw a party and be over the top, because this party, they did their big one. And let me say this. No expense was spared, because as everybody is walking through the stadium tunnel, you have the LA Rams cheerleaders there to greet you. I said, again, Kyle and Mauricio, y'all ate this. Y'all ate and left no crumbs. Y'all understood the assignment, because this party was chef's kiss. This is a party where I would love to be invited to, because again, y'all did that. So Anne-Marie and her husband arrive. Now the morally corrupt Faye Resnick arrives. Camille's there. Cynthia Bailey and Jeff Lewis were there. I said, okay. Kyle sent out the invitation to everybody. Now Kyle and her daughters finally come out to make their grand entrance, and nobody was really paying attention to them. You have Mauricio at the buffet line. He's packing his plate. I said, Mauricio, you don't even care about seeing your daughters and your wife come out? Like, it's just a mess. I said, this is so sad. to see how far Mauricio and Kyle have fallen. They used to be all over each other. There was not a time where he wasn't by her side. And the fact that he didn't come out with them, they're coming out separately, and he's not even paying attention. I said, a mess. Now that food looked delicious, but I said, sir, the food's not going anywhere. Turn around and try and pay attention to your wife and your daughters, please. The shade that Sutton threw had me screaming. She goes on to say, where's Mauricio? We've been looking for him since that memorial service. Like, where is he? Where he at? Now, Denise Richards, you've been taking L after L after L this season. And when you rolled up with a pink Givenchy jacket, I said the jacket's cute, but the theme is all white. So why are you showing up to an all-white party with pink on? Even Dorit was like, girl, you are aware that it's an all-white party. Why are you wearing a pink jacket? But Dorit said, look, the way she cursed me out at Kyle's house 8 episodes ago, I'm going to keep my mouth shut. And I said it before, I think that the way Denise flopped so hard at Kyle's dinner party, we don't need to see her come back in any capacity. I think that Denise just isn't ready for reality TV. I remember her show on E! It was about her dad, and her kids navigating life after her divorce from Charlie Sheen. But Housewives is a completely different animal, and I don't think that Miss Mamas can keep up. Now, as the party's going on, everybody's having a great time, and we see Garcelle and Sutton talking, and Sutton says, girl, I just bought these new earrings, you like them? Garcelle makes a joke saying, did they cost more than my kitchen renovation in my beach house? And Sutton says yes. So now Garcelle goes on to ask Sutton, how are things going with Steve? And we find out that Steve ghosted Sutton. I said, no, not Steve. I liked him. I thought that they might be a couple. I was so upset to hear that. I said, Steve, I was rooting for you. We were all rooting for you in my Tyra Banks voice. So Sutton says, despite the setback with Steve ghosting her, she's been more confident when it comes to being in the presence of men and putting herself out there. And I said, you know what, Sutton, that's a great way to look at it, and I'm glad to hear that. Now, maybe I'm gullible, but I actually thought that Kyle and Mauricio would have a good time connecting with each other at the party, but they were talking to each other like they were strangers. You have Mauricio joking around about how he thought the party was in the parking lot. Kyle's upset and says, that's how I know he doesn't listen to me, because the white party's sentimental. Why would he think that I would throw this party in the stadium parking lot? I was just like, damn. Yeah, they're getting a divorce. It's just a matter of time. They're probably trying to work out all their assets now. But best believe there will be a divorce because there's no connection. Kyle looks like she can't stand to be around him. Mauricio looks dazed and confused. And the fact that she was pissed off that he thought that the party was in the parking lot, I said, yeah, stick a fork in them, they're done. I guess it's really crazy to watch because every single year we've seen Kyle and Mauricio throw this white party. Do you remember how they couldn't keep their hands off each other? They would dance all night. Remember, I think it was either season 1 or season 2, they had the white party at their home, and this woman went up to dance with Mauricio, and Kyle walked over there, pushed that woman away, called her a stupid bitch or whatever. Like, she was like, oh no, that's my man. And now to see Kyle and Mauricio barely interact at the party, it's bizarre to watch. It's surreal. Because never in a million years did I think that they would be so disconnected and so apart from each other. But I just said it's really sad to watch. Now the shade was strong because we see Denise, Garcelle, and Sutton talking. And Denise is asking, wait, is Erica performing? Performing what? So Sutton says, oh, she's going to be singing Cher's greatest hits. And the way I fell out, I said the shade of it all. The way I rolled my eyes so hard, seeing Erica in her dressing room having a prayer circle before she got up on stage, I said, girl, those prayers aren't even touching the ceiling. And it's crazy how Erica really swears that she's a victim. Because when she said, there were so many times where I gave up on myself, I said, girl, shut up. All the victims who had their money stolen by your ex-husband, they're the true victims. Because a lot of these people are still struggling now, and they have no idea where their next meal is coming from. You're still blessed to be on a hit reality TV show where you get paid, I think, $600,000 a season for only 3 months of work. You get endorsement deals, brand deals, you have appearances. So again, let's cut the bull with, oh my gosh, life's just been so tough. Girl, just because you can't ball out and buy 4 Lamborghinis again, don't act like your life is so tough. You're still living a great life. So nobody has any sympathy. We're not crying for you, Argentina, because things aren't how they used to be. You're still doing well. So we jump back over to the party, and Kyle gets on stage and she thanks everybody for coming, and now she welcomes Erica to the stage. So as Erica is walking up, Denise had me on the floor. We hear Denise say, so we're about to watch Erica lip sync. And then she says, well, thank God that the cameras are over there. And then she says, yeah, I know, I'm such a bitch. I said, girl, you forgot you were still mic'd up because we heard you. But one thing about Miss Denise Richards, she said she will always give it to Erica Jane again and again and again.
And you're gonna always get it again and again and again.
And I'm not mad at it, Denise. The way she packed you up at Crystal's Taco Tuesday party, I'd still have anger too. So Erica performs her song Expensive, and everybody says that Erica Jane is back. Kyle's proud of her. We see her give Erica the biggest hug, saying that she's just so happy for Erica and how Erica did an amazing job. And did anybody catch the shade that Dorit threw? She said Erica was a showman. She gave the people what she wanted. I said, oh, okay. We're going back to episode 1 of this season when Erica said that she's a showman and she gave the folks what they wanted when she said at BravoCon 2022 that PK and Dorit would get divorced. So I caught that shade that Dorit threw using Erica's own words. So here's where I was confused for 5 seconds, because now the closing montages come up for each woman, and I'm like, that happens at the end of the episode. We still have another 30 minutes left. What's going on? So we see that Erica has her Vegas residency. Then we see Dorit's closing montage that PK finally came back home 39 days later. And I said, you cannot tell me that they are not headed for a split. And then we see that the biggest distance is between Dorit and Kyle because they haven't spoken in months. Now, if I were Dorit, I'd be hurt and confused because, say what you want, Dorit has been a very good friend to Kyle. They've been best friends, almost like sisters in Kyle's own words. So to see that Kyle is now upset with Dorit and they're not really cool right now, it makes no sense. I get the impression that with Kyle, if you're not telling her what she wants to hear, then she's going to discard you. And I think that that's why her and Erica get along so well, because they're one and the same. And that's why you see on the after show, Kyle and Erica sitting together, and it's Dorit and Crystal, because Kyle no longer wants to be around Dorit. But I think that Kyle is messed up for that. And Dorit, honestly, you're better off without Kyle. Anne Marie's closing montage pops up. We see that her and Crystal have not interacted since Kyle's white party. Now, I'm not surprised to hear that because in real time, they keep going back and forth with each other. And then you see the snippet for the reunion trailer and they're going at it there. And Anne Marie, this can be your first and last season. You brought nothing. And it's no shade, but everybody's not cut out to be a reality TV star. Also, you came in trying to be Kyle's mouthpiece and that backfired. Because like I told you in the last recap, you sat up there trying to go to war for Kyle, and now here Kyle is out in the press denying you like she never even knew you. She's telling people that she only met you one time. So you played yourself. You might have had a real chance had you just come on here being yourself and not coming after Sutton's esophagus and then going after Crystal for a storyline. Garcelle says that her main takeaway this year is meeting people where they're at. And now we see her closing montage, and it says that she's been enjoying a lot of success. And we find out that she won an award for her movie Black Girl Missing on Lifetime. I said, I know that's right, Garcelle. And before I forget, I think that Garcelle looked great at Kyle's white party. Definitely one of her best looks. Now, Garcelle, season 14, please hire a new stylist. You are a beautiful woman. You should be running circles around everybody on this cast. Now, Sutton, what was going on with you? Because we see you fall by the stage. And I said, girl, what happened? I said, girl. They were all like, But we see Sutton's final remarks for this season. And she says that at first she was so scared and nervous when Christian told her that he was moving to London. But now she's tapping back into the business side of herself and she likes it. She goes on to say that now it's time for her to focus on herself and to know that she can do it on her own. And now we find out that her youngest son, James, now lives with her full time. Because remember that Sutton's older kids are both in college. I almost forgot about Crystal, but we see that Crystal is now accepting her brother living part-time in Thailand. Again, between her going back and forth with Anne-Marie, we didn't get much. And the thing about making secondary characters into storylines, we have to be well acquainted with the side characters. Like, take for instance, Jersey. On Jersey, it's a family affair. So we see the husbands get a lot of screen time. They have their own storylines. So if we see a housewife focus on their relationship with their brother or their husband or their sister, that's fine because we're used to seeing them a lot. But Crystal, we've barely seen your brother. So there's no interest on our part for us to really care about what's going on with your brother and this broken off engagement. We don't know enough about your brother for us to be invested. Now, anytime there's a scandal, I love the dramatics from Bravo. We see 1 month later pop up on our screens, July 23rd, 2023, when the news broke about Kyle and Mauricio separating via People magazine. So everybody's at home. We see Anne-Marie playing with her kids. Dorit's at home. And Garcelle is at home. They all get the Google alerts and they're like, wait, what? So we see Dorit FaceTime PK and she says, Kyle never gave any indication that they were separating. And PK says, that's so effed up. So now we jump to Crystal and Rob. Crystal's like, did you see the news? People magazine just broke the story that Kyle and Mauricio are separating after 27 years of marriage. Now, Rob had me yelling. Rob was invested. He said, wait, what? He's like, damn, who do you think planted the story? Do you think that it was Morgan who planted this story and told? Crystal was just like, Rob, let's not jump to conclusions. Let's just talk about the facts. They're splitting up. I said, Rob was in it. Rob said he's going to be messy. He wants the tea. So now we jump over to Garcelle and Sutton. Of course, they're on FaceTime talking about this news. And Sutton says, I'm not surprised. I think that Kyle knew about this the whole time. Kyle's been lying to all of us. And remember, Sutton has been saying that there is something off with Kyle all season long. It was either episode 5 or episode 6 where she clocked the lifestyle changes. She said her wedding band is gone. You have these rumors about their marriage. Then on top of that, she's getting tattoos. We see her working out 5 hours a day. She stopped drinking. Usually when somebody makes such drastic lifestyle changes, that means that there's something going on that we don't know about. And Sutton clocked it. She was right. And Kyle has not been honest with anybody in this group. And it's funny to me that she wants to be so tight-lipped about her business, but when it's somebody else's business, she wants to be all up in there saying, oh, well, you have to share with us, and that's what friends are for, and you can't be on this show or be in this group and not share your business. But you don't get to say that, but now you're quiet as a church mouse because you're going through stuff. So now we see that Mauricio and Kyle have released a joint statement. And now we flip over to Kyle at home. She's visibly upset. and she's reading all the tweets about people being upset and let down about Mauricio and Kyle's separation. So Kyle says that when the People magazine article came out, she was with Mauricio and the girls. So all their phones started blowing up at once, and she was in shock. Then she goes on to say that she was worried about how the girls were feeling, and Mauricio was worried about who gave this story to People. So she goes on to say that they handle this in two different ways. So because Erica and Kyle are now the best of friends, Erica's over. She's there to give Kyle some support and some comfort. She says that when she went through her divorce, she felt overwhelmed and alone. Now I said, Erica, this isn't about you. Second of all, I'm sure you were ecstatic to be free from a man that you were no longer attracted to and a man who had just been found out for being a fraud. So again, girl, I don't want to hear it. And of course, anything to make herself out to be the victim. She says that she's there for Kyle because Kyle was there for her and how Kyle never judged her or shamed her. I said, once again, sis, and I said, once again, Erica, this victim mentality is not going to fly over here. Please stop acting like the rest of the group was so horrible to you. They just had questions like any normal and sane person would. So stop. And if I recall, Kyle also had a few questions for you last season and you lashed out at her. So again, girl, stop with all this, oh, Kyle never shamed me. She never questioned me, because she did. She said repeatedly how she felt like you weren't compassionate and had no empathy for the victims, and you got angry at her too. So they sit down to talk, and Erica says, let me start off by saying that I apologize if I wasn't as observant as I should have been as a friend, because at your dinner party, I had no idea. So Kyle says, girl, don't worry about it. There was nothing to observe because we've been dealing with things privately. Now, Kyle, you can't say that because while you might have been tight-lipped about stuff, your actions gave it away that something was wrong. Mauricio was never by your side. He didn't even show up to your best friend's memorial service. That was a telltale sign right there that something was wrong. Also, you weren't wearing your wedding band. You were asking questions about, would you ever date a woman? So, girl, the signs were there. So please don't act like, oh, you just kept things under wraps so well, because you didn't. That's why Sutton and Garcelle were questioning you earlier on, because it was obvious that something wasn't right. Even Dorit clocked you for taking all those vacations without Mauricio. She was like, girl, you're always out and about away, and I don't see Mauricio with you. So what's tea? Are you guys good? So you weren't hiding things that well. So Erica says, well, what have you guys been dealing with privately? And here we have Kyle yet again beating around the bush and talking in circles. She's like, well, and I said, Kyle, either tell us what really happened or leave it on the playground. Enough is enough. So she finally gives a response saying that it's not just one thing that happened, it's been a series of things, and how she needs more from her marriage and she's just not getting it. So now Kyle brings up the cheating allegations and she says she knows that that's what people are saying. So Erica goes on to ask her, well, is there truth in any of that? Kyle denies it and says, no, it's just between Mauricio and myself. It's just the two of us. It's nobody else. There are no outside people. And I said, once again, Kyle, I'm calling BS. Because 5 minutes later, you're saying the exact opposite. So Erica was giving us Barbara Walters. She was asking all the hard-hitting questions. She goes on to ask, does Mauricio acknowledge how hard this has been for you? And Kyle says, well, Mauricio likes to sweep things under the rug. He doesn't like to talk about things. He just wants to act like everything is perfect when it's not. So at this point, Kyle is sobbing and she's like, I feel like I failed. I feel like it's such a letdown. So many people have DM'd me saying, I can't believe this. Because of you and Mauricio, I always believed in true love. And now that you guys are separating, I've lost hope in love. Erica's like, girl, don't worry about people, what they have to say. It's all about you. You have to be happy. So she's like, you did not fail anybody. You guys still had a great marriage. Whether you guys divorce or stay together, it's still a beautiful marriage. And I said, Kyle, while I have my gripes, when it comes to you, you really can't worry about what any of us have to say. This is your life. This is your marriage. You have to live your life how you see fit. If things are just so unbearable and you can't take it, then F what we all have to say and get the divorce. You can't live your life trying to make other people happy. You are never going to please everybody. You're never going to. It's not going to happen. And if you think that you are sadly mistaken. And I have to admit, I did feel bad seeing her break down like that because this is sad. I can only imagine how she feels. She feels like she has the weight of the world on her shoulders. Her daughters are upset and confused. It's a lot. And if you do put yourself out there on a public platform, to some extent, other people's comments can get to you. So I'm not going to sit up here and act like, oh, girl, just get over it. Because no, this is a sad situation. And to add public scrutiny on top of that, that's not easy. And while Erica's full of BS any other time, it was nice to actually see her be human and actually give somebody some advice and some comforting words. So now it's the final scene of the episode, and we see that it's a week later, and Mauricio and Kyle are in the kitchen, and it's super tense between them. Mauricio tries to make a joke saying that for once it's Kyle being accused of having an affair and not him. And you could tell that Kyle didn't find the joke that funny. She's like, yeah, I guess. I'm happy that it's me this time. I mean, you could cut the tension between them with a knife. And is it just me, or does Mauricio look so drained? It looks like he's aged 10 years. Mauricio used to be so handsome, sexy, fine, and now he just looks he looks like he's in a daze now. I feel so bad. It's clear that this stress between him and Kyle has really accelerated the aging process for him. But Mauricio, if you were cheating, then I don't have any sympathy. And I hope that Kyle does leave you and gets every penny that's deserved. Because you know how I feel about cheating. So I'm like, if these rumors are true that you were out here zipping it and zooing it while you were married, well, you guys are still married, but you know what I'm saying. But if it's true that you actually were cheating, then I don't have any sympathy. And I'm glad that Kyle is taking her power back and saying, I don't want to do this anymore. So they call their daughters down to the living room to have a family conversation to tell them what's going on. So Kyle says that her kids were led to believe that they were in a fairy tale because her and Mauricio hid their problems for a long time and they didn't let on that things were worse than they really were. And again, Kyle is using language that suggests that there was some infidelity that occurred, and now she's tired. Now she goes on to add that she's sad to let her girls down because for a long time, her and Mauricio really did have a great marriage. So everybody's in the living room and Kyle says, we just want to discuss what came out last week. And now Mauricio jumps in and says that the most important thing is that they haven't said anything because they want to protect them. So now Kyle jumps back in and says that they haven't discussed getting a divorce and that there have always been rumors plaguing their marriage. So now their daughter Sophia interjects and she acknowledges that there have been rumors about their parents' marriage in the past, but this news hits differently. Alexia wasn't here for all this fluff. She said, look, what happens now? So Kyle says, well, because your dad and I have been traveling so much, we think that we need some space. So they all said, what do you mean you guys need more space? You guys have already been apart. Like, what are you talking about? So Kyle says that we're trying to figure out what we both want. And then she goes on to say that they're going to stay together under one roof, and how if that doesn't work, then they'll decide on the next step. And we know that the next step will be a divorce. And I'm not gonna hold you guys. I got teary-eyed at this part because Portia started crying. We see everybody else start sobbing. And my heart really broke. I really do feel for the girls. I feel for their family. That can't be easy. Your parents of 27 years are getting a divorce. And the fact that your parents are being vague about the details, nobody's saying what exactly happened. I'm sure I'd be devastated too. Because it's like, okay, well, what really happened? Because can you guys fix this? Is there a way to salvage this? But I really felt for them. And when Portia broke down crying like that, I was waiting for Mauricio to walk over to her and hug her or rub her back, something. And he just sat there. I'm like, go and comfort your youngest daughter, or at least go and comfort your other daughters, but he's just sitting there. And I'm like, what's going on? But it's just a hot mess. Kyle says that they're a strong family and they're bent but not broken. And now we end the finale with Kyle's closing remarks in her confessional. And she says that there's a big chance that her and Mauricio are not going to make it. So now the producer asks, what is the issue that you two can't let go of? And Kyle says there were things that happened that made me lose my trust that I wasn't able to recover from. I don't know, y'all. I think that he cheated, and maybe he cheated one time too many, and she just hit her breaking point. But Kyle closes it out by saying that ultimately she just wants peace wherever she's at because she hasn't had that. And now we see that it's her last confessional. She says, am I done? And now she starts crying, and we see the trailer for the reunion, and I cannot wait because this reunion looks like it's going to be good and lit. It seems like when Kathy comes out on the stage, Sutton starts shaking, and they need to get the paramedics out for her. So we're going to find out what that's all about. I can't wait for Andy to press Kyle on what exactly happened that led to the breakdown of their marriage. And I think that we're going to actually get some answers, and we're going to find out what exactly it was that Mauricio did. Y'all, that was the finale. I'm looking forward to this reunion. And with all that being said, thank you all so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoy. And you already know what to do. Please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And I will see you all later. Bye.